Hello, everyone. I hope you have had a chance to watch day 1 and 2 and get some of the sort of background information that will help you just kind of get through this whole 3 weeks together. And yesterday was kind of long. So today we're going to be shortening it up quite a bit. Now, today we are starting off, we're going to be talking about living plants that you can use either for gifting or for decorating your home. And even though I have one of these, I want you to know this is not what we're talking about today. They're beautiful, but we're not talking about poinsettias. I highly encourage you to get some because they're lovely this time of year. But today, our plant of the day is actually daffodils. And you might be thinking, say what? Like, why are you doing daffodils in December, Allison? And the reason why is because daffodil bulbs, specifically Paperwhite narcissus, are just an incredibly wonderful thing to grow this time of year inside. And so I want to start out, as I always like to do, with just kind of the plant of the day. And I have this beautiful card from the Soulflower Plant Spirit Oracle deck by Lisa Estabrook. And she's actually a flower essence practitioner, and she's this incredible artist. She does these beautiful watercolors of all of the plants. That's her dandelion right there. It's her kind of logo. And then this is her card for daffodil. And daffodil, again, we'll be talking about the Paperwhite narcissus. The words on the card say that daffodil wants you to see the light, to perceive the beauty and perfection and wholeness that is you, just as you are. It is time to release any self-doubt and revel in the freedom and weightlessness of endless possibilities. And I love this so much because to me, this is just a really wonderful way to approach this challenge together. I want you to appreciate you as you are, wherever you are, coming in, making sure that you're not, the word's perception, that you're not perceiving yourself to be, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm not good enough, and it's too hard. That, whatever you do, if you did one thing, there you go. You're herbally inspired right then and there. So that's a beautiful card there. And I love to share these sort of lore around around plants. And this is a really cool book. I don't know if any of you have ever studied the Victorian flower language. This is a nice, when my husband and I got married, we made bouquets based on some of the meanings of flowers. That was really cool. So from Forget-Me-Not, the word narcissus comes from the Greek myth about the, I guess he was like the son of a nymph and a god. Narcissus was his name. And he was so incredibly beautiful, but he was cursed by being very vain. And he rejected a lot of the advances from the other nymphs who just were totally in love with him. And so he was cursed with never being able to see himself, see what he looked like. And if he did, he would fall so in love with himself that it would not work out. So sure enough, one day he's walking past a river or a pond, and he sees his reflection, and he immediately falls in love with himself. And because of that, the curse hits, and he withers and dies. And as a story goes, the narcissus plant came out of the place where he died. And the narcissus is definitely not worried about anything but how gorgeous it looks, right? So, of course, that is the same sort of root word as we get for narcissist. So it's not necessarily always a good thing to be in love with yourself. But I personally think that we can have a healthy love for ourselves. All right. daffodils they're not really medicinal. In fact, they're actually more poisonous. Like you don't want to eat one. You don't want your kid eating one and end up in the emergency room. But the one way they were used is that they're somewhat poisonous. They're an emetic, which means they make you throw up. And so it was used on occasion when you ate something even more poisonous and you needed to throw up. So that's really the only way that daffodils are used. So I want to talk today about, like I said, this is going to be a shorter one today. I really want to talk about the Paperwhite narcissus. Lost his little jacket. So this time of year, you can go into any garden center, hardware store. You might be able to get some of these from like those discount places that sometimes sell bulbs, like Big Lots. I don't know if that's nationwide or not. And I don't know, maybe even a place like Walmart, Garden Center, or something like that. But so you can buy these bulbs. You want to make sure that they are already starting to sprout. You want to, give them a good feel. Make sure they got a good, like, greenness poke. I got this probably about a week and a half ago. And so what I like to do is I like to buy these bulbs. And then what you're going to do is you're going to plant them, and then they'll grow inside. And the thing that's so wonderful about the Paperwhites is they have the most incredible smell. They smell absolutely gorgeous. And a lot of daffodils have been bred to be more showy and not necessarily have such a good smell. But the Paperwhites, they grow up on these clusters of a cluster of, I don't know, 7 or 8 little blooms on one stalk. And each bulb, well, this has 2 branches coming out, so I'm going to get 2 clusters on that. And you can plant them. The reason why I'm talking about it now is that you want to get them planted now so that they're ready for gifting in the next couple of weeks. So here are some that I planted the other day, and I'm going to leave them right here, and we're going to have them here through the challenge, and we can kind of watch them grow. So these have started to grow up a little bit more. And this container is one of these ones that you buy that just you can put underneath a house plant. So I got all these things at the garden center. I use soil. Some people will plant them just in stone, like the small fine pebble sort of stone. A lot of times I'll plant them in soil, and then I'll add some stone or some other decorative material on top. And so that's why I want to talk about them today, because I want you to get these started if this is something that you want to do. So in the chat, I would love to know, have you ever planted Paperwhites before? Because they are something that I plant every year. And one of the great things about them is they are a wonderful gift for people who don't need anything, okay? I used to give them to my mother-in-law every year, and she loved plants, and she was elderly, so she really did not need any stuff, and she could enjoy the Paperwhite bulbs. They'd come up, they'd bloom, and so it was a great gift, like I said. Now, one of the great things to do is to plant these. They probably take about 2 to 3 weeks to bloom. And so what you want to do is you want to plant them now. And it's ideally, you don't want to have them already blooming when you give them to somebody. So I like to take them and kind of plant some now, plant some next week. And then I'll get like three or 4 different containers going so that I can give the one that's in the best condition, right at the stage that I want it to be. If it grows too fast, keep that for myself, and so on. So I just want to talk a little bit about the containers for these and the soil for these. And someone posted, that they want to know if lilies can be started or planted inside just like this. Lilies are going to be a little bit harder because they're not a bulb. I know they kind of look like a bulb because you buy the little tuber thing for them, but the lilies will be harder to start inside. But then Emily says that she planted some amaryllis, and that is definitely another type of bulb that you can start in the same way that I'm talking about here. So I haven't done, one time I did amaryllis, and I didn't have that great of luck, But I really like, these are super easy. This is part of the other great thing about them. So once you get them planted, oh, I want to say one thing about what you're planting them in. So one of the things that most people are not aware of is that when you buy like houseplant potting soil, a lot of times, unless it says that it doesn't have it, it can have municipal sewage sludge. This is one of the ways that this material that, I mean, we make it, we got to get rid of it. So when you go to the sewer plant, the sludge goes down, the liquid goes out and it gets treated, but then they have to do something with the sludge. And a lot of time it's treated on land as a fertilizer. And this actually would be okay for doing the paper whites because they are not a food crop. But if you want to go buy a big bag of potting soil and you're thinking, one of the other things we'll talk about is planting sort of like an herb planter that you might want to keep in your window or again for a gift. So you want to really be aware, does this have sludge or not? And it's highly likely not to say that it does, but if you look for something that says, you know, approved for organic growers or something like that, then you will be safe. You'll be safe. So the only next thing I'm going to talk about, and like I said, it's a short day today, is then what do I do once I plant it? You can see that I planted this in just a plain container, but I also, the other thing you can do is you can just put it into a basket. So now you're gifting a basket as well as the plants inside. You can, like I said, put some stone on there. Like I have some of this, kind of like sea glass, and it's not real sea glass, it's a fake sea glass. You can put that across the top. You can add in some little sparkly lights if you want to, and just kind of ring that around. This one's a little too long for that. You can use these types of containers here. Again, you have to get the inner container first. Make sure it fits. If you're going to use something like this, you want the inner container that is not going to leak, because you would not want that stuff coming out all over your table. So another thing, if you just wanted to do this is kind of a fancy version of a ceramic planter. And so you could just do one bulb in here, or you could do 3 of these, each with a bulb. You can do another type of bulb, and which reminds me, hyacinth bulbs are another one that you see available this time of year for forcing. And you could maybe put some hyacinth, those come in all different colors, so those are nice. And then you can just get some type of, you know, plastic ware from the hardware store. I will say though that these are kind of big, and so that one that I bought there, I thought I was gonna be able to get 5 in there, and I could really only get 3. So you want to make sure that you have something that's big enough to put in as many as you want. And they do get very tall, and they will fall over. So the more soil area you can give them to root into, the happier they are going to be. So ribbons, shells, my list here. Or you could even, if you celebrate Christmas, you can put a little Santa Claus in there, or whatever kinds of little trinkets are special to you. That's all I wanted to share with you tonight. Like I said, I wanted to keep it kind of short because we went very long last night. But I do want to remind you that you can do this. You can do this. You can bring these things into your house, regardless of what the other people who live with you are thinking. If they don't like plants and they're like, what are you doing? Come on. Then you know what? Say, too bad. Do it anyway. All right. Awesome. All right. Kanita says that she buys containers at Dollar Tree, large, round handled containers, and drill holes and plant in there. So if you want to, this one does not have holes in the bottom. If you want to, you can just plant in a regular planter, or, you know, like I had, you could get a big version of this ceramic pot. You can use whatever you have around. You could also even use something like a pan or a that you might also want to gift to the person. You can plant those in there, and then they could keep the pan afterwards as well. So that is all I have to share with you tonight. Trying to keep it to about 15 minutes. So keep going, everybody. It's only day 3. We got much more good stuff. Stop by your local hardware store or your local garden center and see if they've got any Paperwhites. Or someone said they didn't like the smell of Paperwhites, but does love the amaryllis bulbs. So yeah, amaryllis are definitely out now too. So grab some bulbs and get those started now because they take a while to get going. Awesome. Thanks so much for joining me, everyone. Have a great night.